Tshepo Moloi van StokFella sluit nou by my aan. Hallo Tshepo.
Hi Divan, how are you?
Tshepo, let's start at the beginning. What exactly is a StokFella?
Well, a stokvel is a group of people coming together to contribute to a goal, whether the goal is financial or whether the goal is going on holiday. So they come together to actually contribute towards that goal. But we like to look at StokFella as a culture amongst people that want to educate one another, want to grow one another, and develop one another.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I want to stop at. Is people? It's all about that goal, the reason for investing, and people often think, no, it's just for, say, I need a cash amount at the end of the year. But you specifically say that people save for different reasons. What do people save for?
There are multiple reasons out there. The majority of them save for burial reasons, you know. So we want to put a stokvel so that we can bury each other or bury our family members when that happens. But other kind of stokvels are holiday stokvels, investment stokvels, are stokvels for grocery stokvels. That's your number 2 stokvels that is out there in the country.
Yes. Give an idea. Who's the typical people that would invest or come together to form a stokvel?
You know, when you think about stokvels, most people think it's for old people. But the truth is that an average age.
That was my perception.
Yeah, an average age of a stokvel person is 25 years old to 49 years old. Research has showed that. You know, so it's anyone from a young age up to an old age, and usually we're starting to see the young people now getting involved more compared to the old people of stokvel groups.
How big is this industry? In the insert, we spoke about billions of rands. Is it really that big?
It's estimated to be about 49 billion rand. Others estimate to be 44 billion rand. So it is quite a big industry. You have to remember that this industry has been around since 19th centuries. So it's been there for quite a long time, and people have been saving, or people have been putting money away for that specific goal, so to speak. So
one thing about a stokvel is that it is an informal structure, and with this informal structure, it means it's unregulated. Is the whole industry or the practice in itself, is it truly completely unregulated, or are there kind of rules of engagement within a stokvel?
Look, it is a bit regulated, you know. The reserve banks do see stokvels up to, they define it as a group of individuals coming together and putting money up to 100,000 rand. So there's a bit of regulation, but the most important regulation is a stokvel constitution. It's a constitution amongst the stokvel members themselves, you know, where they will agree on the terms and conditions to regulate their money between each other.
So that's to say, this is the goal, and we agree to what the goal of that investment is. One big thing that was in the market was M, which is it's this debate. Is it a Ponzi scheme? Wasn't it a Ponzi scheme? What's the difference between a Ponzi scheme and a stokvel?
Right. So a Ponzi scheme mostly depends on contributions from other members continuing and paying that contribution to one member or other people. You know, and a Ponzi scheme depends on members joining. A stokvel is usually enclosed amongst a group of friends. So there'd be about 30 of us or 40 of us, and the payout is basically based on our savings that we have. So we don't depend on people joining in. So that's the ultimate crux of the difference.
Let's talk about your app.
Right.
How did your app make this process of the stokvel between 25 people? How does the app make that easier?
Right. So you know, you mentioned 25 people, and the truth is that, you know, once you reach above 10 people, you start getting confused as who has paid, who hasn't paid, and where's the next meeting. And this is where the app jumps in place. You know, we make the administration of stokvel very simple, very quick, and more transparent to everyone else.
So take me through that administration. What's normally difficult, and how does the app make it easier for me?
Right. So what's normally difficult, what happens in typical stokvels, that we'll come together, we'll give the money to one person, ideally that's a treasurer in your stokvel, and the treasurer and chairman will sit in the corner and they start calculating and start ask themselves the questions of, okay, this person owes so much amount of money. So where the app comes in is that we will actually help the chairman and the treasurer actually to facilitate their group. So one will actually capture their payments through the app itself. The chairman will approve their payments and saying, okay, yes, I've received your money and this is how much you've given us. And if you forgot about your money, the app reminds you to say, actually, you haven't paid, and reminds as well as when is the next meeting being held. So that's where the app comes in to facilitate that headaches, to allow the chairman and the treasurer to actually enjoy the true culture of a stokvel.
And also to act within this constitution that they actually agreed upon. So you've been around for, is it 4 months?
Yes, 4
So you're
months.
a typical startup,
Yes.
which is great to have you on the show. Give me an idea. What's a take-up looking like? And what's those really, really difficult issues that you're still battling with in the startup phase?
Right. I think it's just like any other startup. You know, most people think tech companies are IT and you just focus on IT. Actually, you're just like any other startup that says, okay, you challenge with your processes in place. You're also challenging with supply and demand. So we got high demand from our users to say, listen, change this, change that. We like this, we don't like that. Now we have to meet those demands.
Yes.
So we're just like any other startup that will start. And of course, cash flow always is a questionable thing about startups as well.
Let's talk about the take-up. How's the take-up been?
So the take-up, we just passed 2,000 downloads. We have close to 400 groups that are using the apps. Roughly about 58% of these guys are in Gauteng, and then we're seeing in KZN. The nice thing about that is that if you look at research says most of StokFellas are in Gauteng. The next is in Limpopo, but we're seeing a bigger take-up in KZN. And most likely is because KZN is more urban, and and that's where most mobile phones are at.
People will say that a StokFella is based on one very important principle, and that's trust.
Yes.
How does a piece of technology actually enhance that trust, or at least keep that trust within the members?
Right. So I think it's very important to know that we don't change the behavior. I think that's the big first thing. We just adapt to the behavior that's already there. So by adapting to the behavior, we're not changing trust. So trust, it remains with the StokFella group itself. Yes. All the thing that we do is that we make it more transparent. Yes. That's the basic.
In a few months' time, how's this app going to look differently?
So in a few months' time, one of the biggest challenges that we're seeing with StokFellas is that they are susceptible to risk. So from a cash perspective, they're highly cash-driven. So we would like to facilitate that process for them. Make sure that we eliminate this risk of cash between them.
Tshepo, thank you very much. A fascinating industry of which we're only seeing where it's going. We're looking forward to having you back on the show once the business is even bigger. All the best.
Thank you.